A lot of philosophical and ecological attention has been given in recent years to the impending need for more environmentally responsible power plants in the automobiles we drive. Alternative fuel vehicles and electric-powered cars have now become more of a reality than just a twinkle in the eyes of the scientific community. But what may seem as a thoroughly modern and daringly unique solution to combating the damaging effects of air pollution from conventional internal combustion engines isn't that modern at all, because back in the 1950s, Detroit began playing with a new type of engine called the gasoline turbine.
Firebird One, the four-wheeled grandson of the jet airplane.
The Firebird One was the first serious attempt to use the same technology found in aircraft jet engines to power automobiles. Simply stated, the gasoline turbine produced its horsepower from spinning turbine blades, set into motion by superheated air, fired by just about any kind of combustible liquid. With no pistons, connecting rods, crankshaft, or valve train, the gas turbine was relatively simple in design and required very little maintenance. The Firebird One was the first car to ever boast this ingenious power plant, but with its wingless aircraft configuration and single-place cockpit, when it was unveiled at the 1954 GM Motorama, it was clear to everyone that the Firebird One wasn't destined to become a production vehicle. GM followed the Firebird One with the Firebird Two. One of the most apparent differences between this Firebird and the previous one was not only the more practical family sedan styling, but the addition of an improved and more user-friendly turbine design. Where the Firebird One spewed hot exhaust gases directly from its tail section, the Firebird 2 used what was called a regenerative turbine, making the world a bit safer for pedestrians and tailgaters. GM would follow the Firebird 2 with yet another outer space-inspired design dubbed the Firebird 3, with a twin-bubble cockpit and outrageous assortment of vertical and horizontal fins. It became a popular attraction at every car show in which it appeared, but once again, it was never slated for production. In fact, GM soon jumped off the turbine car bandwagon, and it wasn't until 1961 when somebody else jumped aboard. That's when Chrysler unveiled one of history's most heralded automobiles, the Chrysler Turbine Car.
The place is the 5-mile test oval at the Chrysler Proving Grounds. The event, performance checks of the production model gas turbine car.
I can remember the first time I saw one. I was on college campus, and it was in 1964. And a number of these vehicles were produced and then put out into the general public. And what they were trying to do was find out and research basically the acceptance of a turbine vehicle. And they were very important. They were an important theme. I think they were an opportunity for the designer at the time, Elwood Engel, to express himself. And certainly that came after a period, in the 50s, which was rich in concept cars as well.
It was clearly the most aggressive approach to producing a practical and marketable gasoline turbine car that Detroit had ever seen. While still considered an experimental vehicle, Chrysler broke from traditional industry policy by building 50 of them. And rather than restrict their availability to Chrysler executives and engineers, a nationwide test program covering the entire country assigned the entire fleet of turbine cars to people from all walks of life. A test that lasted several years, ultimately involving over 200 drivers who logged over 1 million miles. As with other turbine cars, the Chrysler version required no tune-ups, no oil changes, used but a single spark plug, and could be fueled by just about any combustible liquid, including cooking oil. It was a car that became every manufacturer's dream, attracting worldwide publicity and phenomenal media attention. It appeared that the American buying public would buy up as many turbine cars as Chrysler could bolt together. But this almost universal adulation for the turbine car couldn't overcome a number of inherent real-world limitations that eventually spelled the termination of the turbine car project.
The turbine, first of all, the tremendous heat inside of the turbine called for metals, of very, very special metals. The cost of that precluded their use in automobiles. Also understand that the turbine works best when it's running evenly at very, very high speeds. As you go down the average boulevard in America, and every at least quarter of a mile, you stop and start, then you pull into residential streets and you're stopping at stop signs every block. The engine and is working up and down, continuously changing. Understand this is not very good for the turbine. The turbine operates much less efficiently that way than it would at continuous speeds.
The Firebird One, the Firebird 2, the Firebird 3, the Chrysler Turbine Car. Today, they're no more than fascinating museum pieces that tell us about the ways that yesterday's free thinkers envision tomorrow. But it was their instinctive curiosity and sincere willingness to try new things that helped to shape the ideas and imaginations of today's automotive visionaries.